Cool. All right. So Bryan, can you start us off and maybe just tell us, I guess, your name, your role at Acala, and where you live and where you work from?
This is Bryan Chen. So I live currently in Auckland, New Zealand. So I'm the CTO and the co-founder of Acala.
Cool. I'm going to ask you a couple just personal questions for us to get to know you a little bit better. Could you maybe tell people when you're not coding and building everything on Acala, what do you like to do in your free time?
Um, a lot of my free time is actually I just like to code, and or
Yeah.
maybe read new things, learn new things. So not necessarily writing the code, but will be I usually spend quite a lot of time learning, for example, different new programming language and different new technologies, and like for example, browsing the hackers news. Um, to just see what's new things, any new things interesting me. So this probably I spend a lot of time on those ones. But other than those ones, so I play a bit game. Just bought a PS5, so spend some time on that. Have a Nintendo Switch, also spend a lot of time on that. Other than those one would be wow. That's probably
Cool.
if I get to choose what time I can spend on my spare time. So those two things will be the main thing.
Yeah. So coding, learning, and gaming.
Yep.
Cool. Um, what about something about you, maybe something that you've done in your past or maybe something interesting that people might not know about you?
Well, my life journey is not that exciting in the sense it just I don't know. I born in China and come to New Zealand when I was 13. It just then go to high school, go to university, and just doing bunch of my first all of my job is like programming job, just writing softwares. So most of them are startups, but it just kind of a normal pathway. There's no like not like this.
Yeah.
um yeah.
What was your first startup?
It's not. So this Akala is the or Lemina is the one. The first I'm the co-founder, but all the other things is I'm just an employer. But the first startup I've joined is actually founded by my friends and is my classmate at Auckland Uni. So they have this idea as the final project, and then they take this idea and build a startup from it, which is quite interesting. So it's basically it's called Kami. So it's a PDF annotation web app. So it's getting quite bad traction in the COVID
Oh yeah.
due to the COVID because people need to study from home, and there's a lot of homeschooling. So those tools are getting quite useful. So I was the first employee. So that's also the time that I actually learned a lot of things, especially about like startup as well.
Cool. Um, let's see. An interesting question that I took from Tim Ferriss, one of the podcasts that I listened to. But this question is: if you had a huge, gigantic billboard that could reach 1 billion people, what would you put on that billboard? What message? What message would you tell people?
The first thing come to my mind is buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's good.
um, yeah,
That would have been
I think
a
those
good
will be
billboard
my
in like 2010.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I know you mentioned you code, you learn a lot, and you game. Maybe this is the same answer, but when you feel stressed or unfocused and you need a way to get out of that, do you have any tactics that you use for dealing with that?
So like I would say I work very hard, but I can also kind of feel when I am not productive. So I will just a lot of time just stop working for a while, so I will do something else. So there could be, I don't know, watch some YouTube video, play a bit game. I'll play a game um that doesn't require me thinking, not
Yeah.
strategy game that will use more of my mind. So just some relax, just slash game. Yeah, so I can just do something and have my mind just not think anything hard problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so or otherwise probably just take some walk. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to kind of more your career. So you mentioned kind of your past with like moving to New Zealand, working in startups, but could you maybe talk a little bit about what led you to blockchain and crypto and like kind of what got you into the Laminar and Acala world?
Yeah. The I don't remember when I first I heard Bitcoin, but it's somewhere when I back with uni, so this many years ago. That is first I heard Bitcoin, and it's just some kind of digital cash thing, and then there is very early stage, and actually there's a bit more background story I need to tell you first. So when I was high school, as young kids, my parents don't give me a lot of pocket money, so that many young people things try to figure a way to make some money so we can buy things we like to. As a kind of computer boy, and just I go to the internet, Google how to make money with computer, this whole thing. Then there's a software I don't remember the name, but you can download it. It's from probably some research labs or some universities. So if you run some dispute computation software in your computer to do some calculations, then you make some money. Just run the software and makes money, and that sounds great, right? So I just install the software. Um, After I don't know, probably a few months, I makes like $5. And then my mom was saying, why the internet bill and the power bill this month is so high. And I would just figured maybe that's just not a good idea. So yeah, that's the background story. Then after a few years, I see Bitcoin, download software, run it, then you'll make some money, right? It's the same thing I heard done before, which is already proven not profitable. So I skipped the chance of trying to become I don't know, become a miner. That is
Yeah.
probably one of my biggest regret. Yeah, so then
What year was
after
that?
when I was uni, so it's probably 2009 or 10, something like that.
Wow. So Bitcoin
Yeah,
had just come out.
yeah, just come out. Yeah. Yeah, so I passed the chance to become like very early miner. And because I also haven't actually read too much about Bitcoin by then, because I just thought, oh, we have PayPal, we have Alipay, that it's internet money. Like you can send money on the internet, it's easy, nice.
Yeah.
Why we need another thing? Yeah. And then after many years, then I think it's by the time when Bitcoin Cash fork, and then Bitcoin go to the news, and I read it again, and because my colleague he also have some Bitcoin, and he was talking with me, it's like this thing forks, and but people were expecting one thing split into two, like both of price when they add up the price shouldn't be more, right? We'll count something, they combine together, the value will be same, but the Bitcoin Cash fork proving that's wrong on internet
Hmm.
on blockchain. So yeah, the Bitcoin fork and then combined value of both two is much higher than original value.
Yeah.
This just yeah quite interesting. And actually that's got me um just yes looking into Bitcoin again. But more I was previously like following Bitcoin by just reading it, never actually like thinking about buying it. But that's got me like a bit more interesting. So I consider maybe I should buy some. And of course, you really will have the motivation to study all these things if you have your stake into it. It's not big stake, but of course, it's some stake. So
Yeah.
yes, then I study more time, spend more time just like on the Reddit and different forums, just reading Bitcoin news, and yeah, this is like yeah, go my actually spend time on. Like reading the Bitcoin white paper, reading all this new technologies, actually think about this could be a that just change everything.
Hmm. So then that led you to, I guess eventually that led to your path of co-founding Laminar and Acala.
Yeah, so yeah, that's me like make me think. I really want to work this industry,
Yeah.
and actually spend time to understand the low level thing, how it actually works, and actually think about if I am the guy designing the thing, then how I want to design those things. So just start thinking about those things.
Yeah. Cool. So I know we're all working really hard right now, and we will be for the foreseeable future. But what like when you do have late nights and early mornings, what would you say is like kind of your inspiration to keep going? Like, what's your kind of ultimate goal?
Yeah, I like to build stuff. I like to see the stuff I build working. So yeah, so I like to like like in my previous job, there will be I just build a product, see it launch, and see it's helping people, and it really like makes things better and actually improve people's life. But working on a particular software industry, then you probably improve the small set of people. But on blockchain, then I can see the chance of almost like improve change your life of everyone.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is like yeah very different scale. So there's a lot of like no more possibilities. And yeah, so previously just like in many years ago, you just thinking, oh, maybe one day I can do this. But now it's different. Like, I'm actually doing this, actually like pushing this forwards. So this yeah, it just totally different feeling.
Yeah, totally agree. Cool. Let's move on to Akala and Karura now. Um, So the first couple are very short questions. So could you describe Akala in 3 words?
Polkadot DeFi Hub.
That's good. And then Karura, could you describe Karura in 3 words?
Well, Kusama DeFi Hub.
Too easy. Okay. Maybe could you tell us about how Akala started and what the story is behind, how the teams met and how that all kind of came together?
Yeah. So initially, it's me, Rita, and Betty. We co-founded Lambda. We want to because Rita have a lot of connections and experience on the forex market. So we're thinking maybe building something on this area. And we also all believe like DeFi will be the next thing going to take off. That is before, like for example, the compound issue that the comp token and actually start the DeFi hype. Yeah, so back then we think that we want to build something on DeFi. We think the substrate is we have done research and we figured substrate is the best blockchain building framework, and obviously the Polkadot shared security also sort of a lot of problems for us. So yeah, so we're saying we want to build Polkadot and DeFi and maybe something with forex market. So there will be sensitive assets and probably margin trading. So that's the background story of Lambda. And then, but when we design the Lambda protocol, we have built a prototype implementation on Ethereum that is depending on DAI as the cryptos as USD, and it's also using Compound as a money market. Um, so, but then if we want to build a similar thing on Polkadot, so we see there's one fundamental dependency we need to have is a stable coin. Um, so we figure we can either build a stable coin ourselves, or maybe we can see if anyone else is building a stablecoin and use the stablecoin. But by then, because we are very early, so there's no one is actually building a stablecoin. Um, so then we can see maybe if someone other people want to build a stablecoin, we can maybe build together. So that is our thought. And then when I think it's 2019 September or something. That is the first time, the first ever substrate hackathon, hosted by Poker World, in Hangzhou, in Shanghai, in China. Yeah, so I was invited as a judge for the hackathon. So so also me and Rita and Betty will fly to there. Uh, uh, so we meet a lot of like people's like, because I was very active on a lot of like Chinese Polkadot and such community, but I'm New Zealand, they are in China, so we never face to face see each other. But that's the first time I see a lot of people face to face. Yeah, so that's the sort of time we meet Fuyao. So we know Fuyao quite a long time ago because they are also Poker Wallet is the very first mobile wallet for Polkadot. Is one of the first thing building on the Polkadot substrate. Yeah, so we meet the Fuyao and they have they are joining the hackathon, and so we see the energy that they really want to build something new to break or solve all those problems we have in the current society. So you can see he have like really big energy and big passion about it. And we talk with each other. Like they had already have a poker wallet product, but they're also thinking about probably they want to build a stablecoin as well. So wow, so yeah, if you want to build stablecoin, we want to build stablecoin. Maybe we can try to build together. So yeah, so that is kind of the how the founders of Acala met and how we start this journey. So then after this hackathon events, then we're back to New Zealand, they're back to Shanghai. Then we just kind of start kind of like Betty would say code dating for a few months. So we just start trying to work together, have daily stand-ups and just build the thing and see if we if everything works out, and it ended up being pretty well. So we also enjoy working with each other, and we manage to we don't have too much issues like because we have two teams in two parts of the world, but we don't have a lot of like for example the typical remote working issues. So it's all being ended up very well. So yeah, that's how it started.
Cool. How would you, so I guess when you're talking to potential future developers to join your team, how would you describe like the culture of working at Acala, and what types of, I guess, technical characteristics, but also what type of kind of like personality characteristics do you look for in potential hires?
Working in blockchain space is a bleeding edge technology, so you need to be very motivated because things change every day. Like I know a lot of people like they learn substrate, they're trying to work on substrate, but it just there's so many new things coming every day that you need to constantly adapting your code with the latest change. But because otherwise, um, almost daily or weekly, if you update substrate, everything breaks, falling apart. So there's a big frustrations there, but you need to get over it. You need to get used to it, and then you need to be like really motivated to learn the new things. So you should see why there's breaking trade. You shouldn't just frustrate. Oh, this doesn't work again. I need to fix it again. But you should see, wow, let's introduce a new feature. I can do those things that previously are not possible. So this we want to people who have that they want to just constantly want to learn new things because there are a lot of new things out there every day, and I want people that they are like also kind of like goal orientated. So the goal is well get things done, not just sit in front of computer typing 8 hours a day. Um, just yeah, we don't want you to just sit in front of the computer type that's not doing nothing not unproductive because well then it's meaningless. So yeah, we want to just get things done. So different people have different ways, and we just um, would like you to use the most productive ways of you. Some people they want to, for example, they enjoy working from home. Some people they are like night owl person. They want to work in the night. Maybe fine. Yeah, as long as things get done, I'm happy. Yeah. Also, another because we are also a remote team. We have people in all over the world. So communication is a super important pieces, super important skill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some people will just do their spend maybe a week get something done and present the thing get things done. Oh, that's kind of fine, but during the snow absent period, then there will be like people will say, are you really doing anything? This kind of it doesn't help. Yeah, so communication is a very important skill. Also it helps. Another thing I don't want to see is some people that get stuck and they try to fix a problem, but they just spend a long time trying to fix a problem that isn't very productive. So you should be just open your mind, just asking for help. That feel free to ask for help. Just like maybe we cannot help, so you just need to, well, spend more time trying to figure it. But there's a chance that someone else able to offer different opinions, offer maybe they have seen this issue before. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, communication is also very important.
And what types of people are you looking for right now? I know we've got a few roles posted.
Yes. Well, we're kind of we're looking for different areas and positions. Like for example, we're definitely looking for runtime and substrate developers, just helping to build the core products, the blockchain nodes, implement new palettes, improving existing palettes and maintaining them. We're also looking for the Solidity developers because we have the Acala EVM, which is a very unique EVM. It's unlike other standard EVMs. We have done a lot of modifications, introduced new features, and making adjustments. So we'll need Solidity developers trying to help us to shape this. Also help other teams that building and deploying the smart contracts on Akala EVM to help them to shape the contracts to take most advantage of the unique features of Akala EVM. So yeah, we need Solidity developers for this, and we also need the front end and back end full stack developers, because obviously we have a lot of front end need to build. We already have the depth, but we also have a lot of new things in the plan. We also, for example, need some nice governance UI. We also probably need some nice dashboard UI. There's a lot of front end work waiting to be completed. Yeah, we're also looking for like tech educators because we have a lot of new unique features, especially for Akala EVM. So we would like to someone to able to help us to write documentations, examples, and tutorials to help other developers to learn the advantage, learn how to integrate with Akala, or learn how to deploy the smart contracts or migrate the smart contracts and get them deployed to Akala EVM.
Okay, great. Just a few more. So what would you say makes the Akala and Karura team unique and special to you?
Well, first, I think all of our team members, they are all at least 10x engineers. So we all work very hard and we're all very keen to learn new things. We don't afraid of being blocked by, afraid of deep dive into the code base to the low level things to debug why things doesn't work. So this kind of this is a very important mindset. We're all willing to go to the bleeding edge and pushing it forward. I think this is very important aspect.
Great. So if you were to pick one product that Akala that you're building with Akala and Karura, what would you say you're most excited about and why is that?
Well, I think Akala EVM will be a super exciting product because that is not built for us. It's built for the developers. It's built for other projects. So we hopefully we can see a lot of projects deploy either migrate the existing smart contracts to Akala EVM or just develop some brand new smart contracts for Akala EVM because we have a lot of unique features that doesn't exist elsewhere. Like for example, the scheduler allow a smart contract to be scheduled to be called later. Like on Ethereum, people need to either rely on centralized servers for that, or they need to design some super complex, expensive token economics to make sure it's happening. But this is just basically solved with the building scheduler. So there's a lot more new possibilities can be done, and I'm really excited. Looking forward to see how other people can leverage all these new features and to build something new.
Awesome. Okay, last question. I know, so you're building a lot of these DeFi products, but if you think like maybe 5 years in the future, where do you kind of see all of this going, and where do you see Akala and Karura playing in that story?
Like finance is a concept exists. I don't know how many years, but I, more than I probably start since humans start trading. So there must be a few thousand years already. So this is never going to die. And like I would say, after another 1,000 years, there still be finance systems. So yeah, and then obviously so I definitely 100% believe that DeFi will still be very strong and much even stronger than today after maybe 5 years. So hopefully, um, DeFi will be able to become the mainstream finance. So people will see just the different ways to doing things. You don't have to rely on centralized banks. You don't have to rely on centralized financial service. There's a decentralized service that is much cheaper, it's much faster, it's much secure. Um, then I'm hoping we can see this the completely shapes the industries and also other industries that because almost every industry, directly or indirectly, depending on financial industries. So maybe after few years when the DeFi is become mainstream, then other industry people they will instead of using the traditional centralized financial servers, they will start using the DeFi to help shaping the products to make them the company, for example. They don't need to be a decentralized protocol. It could be just centralized protocol, but still benefiting from DeFi.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had. So appreciate the time.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. It's I also enjoying just, well, present my mind to people, I guess.
Yeah.